1 minute. Recording will be started. I ask Mr. Ravanamurthy to introduce our Think organization to the participation. Mr. Ravanamurthy.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. As you know, Think is as you know very well, Think is an independent organization founded with an intent to contribute to civilization, resonation by promoting critical thinking in the society, drawing on spiritual, cultural, social, political, and economic thought of Bharatavarsha. Think will endeavor to promote analytical reflection at local, national, and international levels. Think will endeavor to bring together important constituents of the society, such as political leaders, policy makers, academicians, journalists, religious leaders, and civil society activists to suggest recommendations to address issue confronting the nation as well as the international community. Thank you. This is all about the Think. Hello? This session and also, hello?
We can hear you. Mr. Venkatramana Murthy, we can hear you.
Yes. This is all about the Think, our Think. This session is hand over to Murthy. Hello? Madam, please continue. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mr. Ramana Murthy.
Okay, madam.
So the host, maybe host wants to speak something.
Ramana, please mute it. Okay, thank you all. So today's topic is abrogation of Article 35A boon to women of the Jammu Kashmir. So we all know this 35A has came to force in 1954 after 60 years of this 35A. It came to limelight only in 2014 after one of the person who filed a case against challenging this 35A in the Supreme Court. Until then, it has never came to a discussion or not attended anything. This article has given a lot of disadvantage to the women of the Jammu Kashmir especially. So on this topic, we are having a speaker, Srimati Neeru Mishra Kazuria, who by profession is an advocate, hails from Jammu Kashmir. Will address this topic in detail regarding the difficulty that has been faced by the women in Jammu Kashmir before the abrogation and after the abrogation. So this month 5th is going to be 1 year completion of abrogation of Article 370. Most of us know very well about the Article 370, but the other dimension of the 35A is known to the citizens very little about it. Now I ask Mr. Subhash to introduce our speaker today's session, Srimati Neeru Mishra Kazuria. Please, Subhash. Subhash. Hello. Okay. I will introduce Srimati Neeru Mishra. She is an advocate by profession, settled in Vijayawada. Basically, she born in Jammu, did her law there in Jammu Kashmir, presently residing in Vijayawada and practicing in IP High Court. Her instinct to work for the women empowerment encouragement involved herself in the field of law and community development. She did her research on rehabilitation of women prisoners vis-a-vis their human rights at Central Jail, Jammu, while studying criminology. Besides her professional work as an advocate, She has a strong commitment to social justice and women rights. She has studied law from University of Jammu. She also got formal training of community development and women studies from Canada. She has extensive experience of working with communities in India as well as in Canada. She was part of Leaders for Change program organized by Maitri Foundation Toronto and had been trained as a leader of change. She is also on Ethics Committee of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Mangalagiri. Now I request Srimati Neeru Mishra Kaziria to speak on this topic. Thank you, madam. Please.
Namaskar, Andarki Namaskaram. So I hope in this group today we all understand English because na Telugu ikwa bhag leda. So even if I try, it will not be very comfortable for me to speak and to listen for you listening also. Am I audible to all of you properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Yes, okay, fine. So, no, I still remember 2 years back when JKSC and Think, we used to have small meetings and talk about how we should talk about the 35A, Article 35A, and tell people about it in other parts of the state, especially in Andhra Pradesh. So I remember how we organized one meeting in Machilipatnam also, which was organized by Professor Srinivas Rao. And their people, they were so much interested to know what is this and how it can be, what a common man of India can do anything about it. So as the professor, Murthy Garu just now, he told that in 2014 only people started talking about what is 35A, what is 370. And believe me, very openly, I am saying many lawyers, they didn't know what is 35A. So when we are talking about women issues in a country like India, where equality is given to all, irrespective of their sex creed, the women of J&K, they were deprived of such a big constitutional right. But many people, legal people, they were not talking about it. Many women organizations, they were not talking about. So out of what I'm trying to say, that people, they used to talk about terrorism in J&K, but women rights, they never used to. So 2 years ago, when we were trying to finalize our strategy, how we have to go to different parts. And today we are here in 2020, where we are celebrating the first anniversary of 5th August. So first of all, it's a very big day. For 5th August is a very big day for all of us, and many congratulations to people like, all the organizations which are working at ground level, like even including Think. So this all credit goes to people who are at ground level, and they are, putting forward the baseline, the think line of people at ground level. So most of you, I think about how 35A has come into picture in 1952. So if you want that I should speak much, I don't think that I should speak much about it because we all know about it. But definitely last year, 2019, let us say we were not expecting that this will happen. There would be an abrogation of 370, and that used to be look like a distant reality. Oh, if it happens, but it has happened. Actually, we are here on the roads that where the Article 370 as well as 35A has been abrogated completely. As far as Constitution of India is concerned, we all know that it gives us a complete, equality. So there is one very important issue which differentiates the women of Jammu and Kashmir from the rest of the country and make them feel discriminated, and that is Article 35A. 35A empowers J&K legislature to define permanent residence and their special rights and privileges. Permanent residence law prohibited non-resident from permanent settlement in the state, acquiring immovable property, government jobs, scholarships, and aid, which we all know very well. It is also interpreted as discriminatory against J&K women. It disqualifies them from their state subjects if they married non-permanent residents. So that raises a very important questions as to whether it is constitutionally permissible to have a discrimination on the basis of sex of a person only so far as the bestowing upon the state subject is concerned. This used to be the discussion earlier. So what happened before 5th August 2019? Women of J&K, if a daughter of the soil, if she marries someone from outside the state, let us say non-subject who does not belong to the state of J&K, so that daughter was not getting her property rights, or you can say succession rights. Her children and her husband will never get any property. Although after very historic judgment in 2002, the High Court just said that this is the right of a woman, that she can hold property but not her children and husband. But in 2000, before 2002, even once lady married to a non-resident of J&K, her every state subject and the property rights will lose. That was the status. After 2002, it changed that it will belong to her, but her family will not get it. But again, I would say that on the contrary, why you may ask why it was discriminatory. Discriminatory in the sense that if daughter is getting outsider, she was not getting rights. But if a son of the soil of J&K, he is getting married to a woman who lives outside the state, so his wife would have got all the rights. So the main difference is this: if his son is getting married to a woman from outside, she was getting all the rights, her children were getting all the rights. But on the contrary, if daughter of the soil is married to an outsider, her children and her husband were not getting the rights. This was the main discrimination. So many, although women organizations are there in India, but many could not raise this issue very, very properly, because most of the time it used to come into picture that it is a militancy affected state, and it is not easy unless we don't amend the laws, nothing can be done. But I would just like to say that although India has signed the Convention of elimination of all the atrocities on women in UN, then how come in that too in 1980 they signed this, and how come women from J&K, they kept on suffering just on this ground that yes, they were female, they were the women. So this itself was a very big discrimination against the women. Now with the abrogation, with the abrogation of 35A, now it's a big achievement for women in the sense, in terms of having their choice. If they want to get married to someone outside the state, now there is no hindrance. Even if she marries, she will be her state's, now there is no question of any state subject. Her children and her husband will remain they can be part of her property and her succession. So this is the main difference which has come after the abrogation. As far as the social life, most of you must be interested to know how the socially and economically how women suffered, and how they have gained something after the abrogation of 35A. So socially, now Jammu Kashmir is a UT. Socially, when status of women is little bit different in Jammu, and yes, it is different in Kashmir also. In Jammu, socially, women are very well educated. Let us talk about the some districts where the militancy could not do much. So in those areas, women are doing very well, education, everything is good. But when we go to far-flung areas and the militancy infected areas, there women, children, it is a big challenge for them to go and have studies. That is a big challenge. And as far as Kashmir is concerned, their women, their rights, their condition is very, very, very poor, I should say, since the militancy started there. That element of fear is always there in that. And many women, they could not come out to study. Parents, they are always scared whether they should send their child to a different place for studies or not. So as we all know that in any system, if there is a war, who is the worst affected? Women. Whether it was the partition of India and Pakistan, even then who suffered the most? Women suffered the most. In our state, I should say no, UT, women, earlier when Kashmiri Pandits, they migrated in 89, they started that. So their women were literally physically assaulted and raped. And during that time, it was really very difficult for women to stay there. And most of the families, they just moved because in any war system, in any war, wherever the war is raised or any in this kind of militancy kind of thing is going on, the worst affected people are women, which I just told you earlier also. So, but after that, there were many allegations that army and police and these people, they just physically assaulted women in the far-flung areas of Kashmir. So, end of the day, so what I'm trying to say that only these are the women who had suffered, and for just because of their suffering, they could not attain what they had been given constitutionally, what were their rights, what were their fundamental rights, what were their socially what they could have done. They could never, because this is also one of the reasons that we, as you all know, that we have a rich culture. We have embroidery, and women, most of the women, rural women, they are into this Kashmiri embroidery work. But that also, in fact, in 21st century, when we are looking forward that all the women, they should be economically independent. Many women, they could not do. Even now, they are not able to do, because still, as I'm saying, it is very difficult for them to access many new technologies, many new, much knowledge, information, because that fear is there. If I go somewhere, if anything happens, if they are kidnapped, if they are taken somewhere, so what will happen? So just because of this fear, parents are not very open to send their children, especially daughters, to different places and attain knowledge, attain education. As far as urban population is concerned, if we talk about urban, Srinagar proper city, yes, the children are going outside, they are attaining the knowledge. But again, the overall state, when we talk about it is very difficult. So until less after the abrogation, yes, that confidence is there in amongst the women. Yes, no, that anything is, if anything, and because it has become UT, if anything is there, at least they feel that confident that we can raise the voice. This itself is a very big thing. But unfortunately, what is happening, under militancy, everything is covered, and the women empowerment issues had not been taken that seriously, which they should have been taken earlier also. So this is one of the disadvantages to J&K women. And I'm sure with the abrogation of 35A, so the UT is taking so much of care that they should be brought into the mainstream, which is very important. We had been talking about youth. Yes, youth is the youth who has been diverted to different directions. They should be brought into the mainstream. But nobody talked about much that how we should bring women also into the mainstream so that they have the confidence, and they should put something in the economy of the state also. So until unless women, they don't economically become independent, it is very difficult to bring them into mainstream. Government schemes are there, government is doing a lot, but again I would say, until unless that we don't bring that confidence in each and every woman that yes, you are safe. Safety is one of the reasons which is very important. Until unless that safety element is not amongst people will not be sending their daughters outside. I'm just giving you one example. Like after 89, the culture of going to movie, watching, we know in Andhra, in every interior area also you will see a theater. India, in J&K, after 89, that movie culture, going to a theater to watch a movie, just that stopped. People stopped moving out. Just because they always used to have fear that if we go and some bomb blast is there, what will happen? This was the overall. And now you think that when the common man is not going, how people would have been comfortable to send their daughters outside. So that way, women of J&K, they have been remained behind. They have been lagged behind as far as when we talk about women empowerment, issues. Although if schemes are there, if people don't participate, if community does not participate, it is very difficult. We all know it very, very well. So as far as the political issue is concerned, like as earlier also I was mentioning, that we have very less women leadership in the state of J&K, because the majority of the areas, they were dominated by one particular community. So that particular one community will not be coming forward much to send their daughters to join politics and all that. So because of that, local leadership, local women leadership has not been grown up so nicely as we see in other states. That is also one of the, until unless we don't have women representative in our assemblies, in our parliaments, women issues would never be highlighted. So this is again, which I'm also looking forward that once after this abrogation, women will have this kind of confidence that yes, no, if some things have changed, if I come forward, at least transparency is there. Transparency would be there, whatever I do and whatever I participate. Earlier, the only thing which main reason as not as women issues, but overall there was very, transparency was not there in many issues, in case of employment, in case of recruitments, in case of political things. So that transparency was totally invisible. It was not seen. So with the UT status and with the abrogation, people, those who are living there since long, they feel this, yes, they feel the ownership. This is very important. When wherever we live, if we don't feel that ownership, yes, this is my place and I would like to do something for this, things will not happen, things will not change. It is very important that people including youth and women, they should come forward and participate in the mainstream. And this will only happen if we create that kind of safe atmosphere. So for this, it is, I would say that the first step of abrogation of 370 and 35A has definitely brought positive changes, which has given confidence to women at large to come forward and do something. Now we see some change in the sense, at least in Jammu, some women, local leaders, they have started coming up. Unless we don't create that atmosphere of safety, people will not come out. So the whole idea is this, that with the abrogation, when things are there, yes, it is a transparent thing, and we are there to, give you that safe place. Women would feel comfortable to come forward, and if they don't come forward, all the efforts, community development efforts to bring them in mainstream will be they will be failed. So will not be able to do much. So ultimately, this state it's a very beautiful state, and it has that caliber of generating economy. And we were supposed to have investors meet. It's only, I think, because of Corona and other things, we could not do it in the state, in the UT itself. I'm sorry, because we are used to say state a large, so I'm using, but now it is UT. We all know that very well. So overall, the best thing is, I would like to say that now the UT and the administration should put all their efforts to bring women forward. Because unless they don't put all their efforts, it's, again, I would say that safe environment has to be created. Otherwise, whatever you are doing, that is just getting waste. So the whole administration, I'm sure that slowly things will be getting better. So once things are getting better, so you will see a change in the state, in the UT. You will see a huge change, because in that state, there is tourism is of, ultimate, when we Indian, we go to different countries to have that scenic beauty. In our country itself, J&K and the many far-flung areas, they have beautiful locations. So in that only, under that, if we are just promoting tourism and we are promoting, the crops, local crops, dry fruit crops, and the embroidery, all these things, and these are the areas we can easily bring our women in. So the focus of the administration should be more now on this, how to bring women in. So with this, I mean, this is just a brief which I have given you. Besides that, as the topic, as our topic says, that it is a it's a boon to J&K women. Yes, it is a boon. It is a boon. When we were talking about equality rights, women were deprived of that. J&K women were deprived of that. Now it is after abrogation of 35A, it is at least they are at par with the other women of the country. This itself is a very big achievement. Women were fighting, but nobody was nobody was hearing. Nobody was ready to hear. I should say that, just because of the reason. Yes, it is the militancy was the priority of the government. How to tackle with the militancy, and the some parts of Kashmir Valley, they were still. So women were never on priority. They were never on priority. So again, that point, we are coming back to the same point. Unless we don't bring women in the mainstream, and really, we see here in Andhra and other states, women are participating each and every, field. So there, just because of the one reason, that it is militancy and no safe place, women could not come out. Women could not come. So this is again coming back to the thing that administration should put its best to bring women into the main thing. So this is what I would like to say, since our abrogation of Article 35, it's a boon to women, is the topic of the day. So this is how I'm just looking at this, that yes, it is a boon, and it will definitely bring change in the lives of women of J&K, and you will see drastic changes happening in the near future. And one more important thing which I would like to say, so it had become a trend. We have seen, I mean, while growing up also. So parents used to prefer that, okay, if my daughter has to be married, so preferably they used to, that was the criteria, that they used to prefer that she should be married in the state of J&K only. With this abrogation, that choice is given to women. Even if they want to marry to someone else, at least they don't have this fear, yes, my property will be lost, I will not be given anything. So those are the things. I mean, when we are talking about the empowerment, this is also one of the main thing where women choose to decide for themselves. So if we are not giving them those opportunities, how can we say that there is equality? So all these factors, they were there, and they had expressed, they had given a platform where women could not be empowered, or you can say they could not be progressed. They could not do much progress in other fields also. But yes, with this abrogation of 35A, there is a wide scope. Women would be wherever they want. That is also, depending on overall what the other circumstances they are there. But there is at least platform for them to move ahead. It is not that, oh, because of this thing you are restricted and you cannot do anything. So these are the few things which have given a very wide and open sky for women to fly. So these are the few things which I wanted to put forward. And besides that, I think we should discuss further during our interaction. Or no, this is because since this is our topic only. So, and with this, I would again just revive or just focus on a few more points. As socially, women are definitely gaining knowledge there in urban areas, but still a lot of work is supposed to do because there is a border area, Rajouri and Poonch, in those rural areas. I mean, if you where all these, their women and children, they are Gujjar and Bakarwal community, they are not able to send their children for studies. So that thing has to be just make clear that how we bring at least education to those areas and bring that happiness, or you can say that at least knowledge too. This is a sad phase that women are not able to get education. So this is, with this, I would like to say that thank you, and let's go for further interaction.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you very much. So before going to interaction session, I had some other doubts regarding that. So one is, actually this is the advantage taken by the political system there in the Jammu Kashmir, especially. So now after the abrogation of this 35A, there are a lot of areas where the development has been taken place. One is the legislative assembly has no powers to declare who is the permanent resident of focusing on that, the rights for property and other things. The other point is this is in accordance with the Delhi agreement between Abdullah and Nehru. Am I right?
Yeah, just
Huh?
speak it.
Okay.
In
So after
between
35 articulation, how it has been showed a lot of difference among the citizens of the country. So let us take an example of Shashi Tharoor, who got married to Sunanda Purushkar, who is from Jammu and Kashmir. He is a cabinet minister. Even then, he did not get any rights from her wife from the Jammu Kashmir. Whereas it is totally reversed with the Mufti, Umar Abdullah married a non-PRC member order from the other country.
At the state.
But they are enjoying all the benefits against the 35A. And second thing, in 2002, Jammu Kashmir made a protest to abrogate this 30 rights of limitation of the marriage applicable regarding the 35A. They got the judgment from the Jammu Kashmir High Court, but later in 2004, I think, Mufti said they want, and other PDP and the National Conference want to delimit this bill through their legislation. Unfortunately, they did not get past the legislative assembly. So that is the how the things have been taking change. After the abrogation of this 35A, there is a lot of development for the investment to tourism, education, and all other equal rights according to the Constitution of Article 14. So this is how it has a boon definitely to the especially women of the Jammu Kashmir. Am I right, madam?
Yes, yes, absolutely. But as you are correctly saying, I mean, you have given the example of the people, those who are politically connected. Okay, when you were saying about Abdullah's daughter, when she married to pilot's son, right? So of course, her status, when just to make the things easy to understand, that girl's status would remain same. In short, she would have remained the state subject of the state. But her children, like let us say that pilots and Abdullah daughter's children, they would have not gained any property right. But with this abrogation, yes, whether it is the pilot or his children, they all would be part of that. They can have the succession right of their mother, the children and the husband. That is one thing. Second, as you are saying that when Mufti and PDP, this government, they put forward a bill in the assembly saying that it should be totally stopped and state subject should not be given to the wife, to the husbands and children of the daughter of the soil. But there was a huge protest, and just because of that, it stopped. It could not pass in the assembly. That is definitely, you are right, absolutely right. But only the thing is this, that this is what we were trying to say, that was totally discriminatory. And it is only after the judgment in 2002 government of JNK and Sushila Singh, Dr. Sushila Singh, it came out after hearing the matter for long, the court decided that okay, now onwards, 2002 onwards, women or daughters of the state, their state subject would remain intact, but their children and their husband would not get it. Whatever benefits they would get out of the state subject, they would get. It's a aid or it's a scholarship or the post or whatever, but their children and they were not. Not only that, just to add what your question is, even the All India Services officers, all these IAS, IPS, IFS officers who were working in that state, in the erstwhile state, we should say, for long, even their children were not allowed to get any job there. So that was not only against totally against the women. This was against to the people also, those who served throughout their life in that state, and they were not given any benefit. So ultimately, I would simply say this was nothing else, just to at that time, at Maharaja time, they just wanted to make sure that this state somehow remain. We have the control over this state and forever, so that however whenever we want we can use it and we can see what to do. Because you just think that I have heard these stories. I don't have any proof of it, but I have heard right from my childhood that when Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he used to come to JNK, and he used to mention that for the peace of the country and state, people of Jammu, they have to be quiet, because Kashmir was dominated by one particular community, one particular set of leaders, and they always wanted to have control in every way. So for them, it was kind of a thing that let this control be through law. So if we are not allowing any person from other part of the country to enter, so we will remain, because other part of the country, for them, JNK was still, JNK, they used to think, if you, at that time, I remember people used to ask us that, do we need a passport to enter JNK? So what I'm trying to say, in one country itself, JNK had become one part and the rest of the country was same. Some people in JNK, they were, one community was definitely of this opinion that we should get the autonomy, we should be one, we should be fully involved in the mainstream. But I would say very openly, I would say that one particular set of leadership, they never wanted that this should happen, which we all know, which is very evident. Now the things with the abrogation, which the so-called leadership never wanted that it should have happened, but with this abrogation, no, it is totally open, and people there. The best thing is this. Now we can say that yes, real integration, real national integration has started now for the people of JNK. Okay, if I am talking about some people, some urban population, they move to the different parts of the country because of job, because of the IT jobs, and because of the government sector, central jobs, they moved outside the state. But many people, there are, I can assure you, there are people from Kashmir, interior valley, and Jammu, interior areas, those who have never crossed, they have never come out of the state. Lakhanpur, they have never crossed, they have not even seen the train. So were we not liable to bring them in the mainstream? We were. This was the responsibility of our leaders, right from start. But just because of their own personal, benefits, they never did it. So overall, I would say that with this abrogation, the real process of national integration has started just now. So which is very welcome by people. Those, it's not only only maybe few political parties and they are not happy, but overall people know that what the benefit they are going to have out of it. Because the state, again, I would like to say that state, they want a development. In that beautiful state itself, we don't have much industry, we don't have much tourism, we could not do that. So that reason being this only, because of 370 people were not able to come into the state and buy land and do businesses. And of course that element of fear was always there. But with the new administration, with the new status, things have changed. Things have definitely changed. I hope your question is answered.
Thank you very much. The most unfortunate thing is this 35A has deprived a lot of rights of women.
Yes.
And moreover, this Mahbub Mufti herself is a woman.
Hmm.
She moved that disqualification bill in 2004. That is most unfortunate. Second, the most unfortunate thing is Article 60, according to the Constitution, the President has to protect all the rights of the decorum of this Constitution, which is deviated. And again Article 368. Under 368, the 35A has to be passed by vote both in the lower and upper house. Unfortunately, it has not done. So there are three dimensions which has hampered a lot of human rights of women this way. Thank you very much. Okay, let us take a participation from the audience regarding. Mr. Satish Prahraj, he wants to please unmute and ask question, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Actually, this is a very interesting and important topic for the nation as a whole, not only Jammu and Kashmir, because Jammu and Kashmir people and women have not been integrated all these years, all these decades, and that is one side of the coin. The other side is Indians are also not been integrated with the Kashmiris, who are, though Indians have to be felt like a different nation. It has to be felt like a different nation, all this. But due to this Article 35A, what I understand is the women of Kashmir who marries outside Kashmir will not have the property rights. And I also, if I'm not wrong, I also heard that women of Kashmir, if they marry some national of Pakistan, I think they don't be bereft of all these rights, like property rights or citizenship rights, whatever are there. And if I am not wrong, then is it not a skew in the demographic, what do you call, shape of the state? When 35A was really formulated, and is it not in favor of some other nation?
You are quite right, Satish Garu. But one thing which I would like to clear, 35A after 2002, after the court passed this judgment, that women, if they are marrying to an outsider, their property rights, earlier, before 2002, it was not like that. After 2002, after the judgment, their property rights would remain with them only. But their succession rights, it's not that woman would lose. Earlier, she was not getting. Once married, everything is finished. But after 2000, what happened? That her rights and her, if she can do job, she can have aid, benefits, everything, because of her state subject would remain same. But her succession rights, that is her, property rights.
Her next generation will not.
Yes, that was the main thing. Although before 2002 situation was different, after 2002 this was the new law. But definitely from 2000 to 2019, their husbands and their children were not getting. On the contrary, just see, if the son is getting married to a woman from outside state, that woman was getting all the rights, her children were getting all the rights. So that was the main line of difference. You have correctly said. And yes, as far as your this part is concerned, if the women from Kashmir, they are getting married to people in Pakistan, because there was if some we used to have custodian houses in our state. We still have custodian houses now, not after 2000 up to maybe 2019. So which means that the people who left this state and went to Pakistan, so we were taking care of their houses. It is, I'm just giving to those houses used to be called custodian houses. If the woman, so you can imagine the extent, how the leaders were taking care of those people. If a woman is getting married to another, her will not be lost, because they are saying that before this time, if the people of the other nation they come, they will be given their rights and their benefits and their houses. So that was one of the clause. So for that matter, if there were women were getting, they were their status, and if they're getting to one person who is belong to different nation, they were able to get it to some extent. Yes.
But what about their children? This the succession line, whether they are able to get the rights on this property and all, if this lady is marrying somebody from the other nation.
They would be, I mean, for succession rights, I think there was not that once they become they will not be, after marriage, she was going there.
Okay.
So in that case, it's not that Pakistanis or the other nation people came and they started getting, it's not like that. But indirectly, yes, we have heard, not on record, off the record, we have heard the stories that this is how the people started flowing in, and their documents used to be changed. So this is how of the record, nothing on record, but this is what indirectly used to happen. Yes, people started. This is how they started to moving in.
But definitely, one way it is anti-national or it is against the Indian interests. Then why even the opposition parties have never opposed it, or they have never taken it that seriously? Only to some extent in the earlier years there were some oppositions, of course.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Later on, why there was no absolute silence on that?
This is what Satish Karu, I told you earlier also, because some political parties, some political big names, those who had very close associations with the other people, with the other nations, they wanted it to remain exclusive as far as possible. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is this is how maybe this was one of the reason that the militancy started. When the militancy started, the whole focus of the central governments and the other governments went on this, that how we should stop this. So the question of raising this particular issue never arose. As I was mentioning earlier also, it should have been abrogated right from start. The very purpose of the inclusion of this article was to bring this kind of atmosphere in the state, to keep it separate, to keep it so that they can fulfill their agenda, political agenda, or whatever their other agendas, which we have seen down the road. We have seen how the shape of the state, how the things have changed after 1989. How? So maybe those they were the legendary, they were the people of great intelligence. So they thought that how we can use this state against the political parties, and how they can bring India down. I mean, at that time I have heard many stories where people used to call that, oh yes, you have come from India. Even recent years, many people. So they wanted to create a niche. Yes, this is our different state, and we want to rule it, and we would never integrate with India. So that down the road, you have seen all those things. So it should have been done. You're absolutely right. It should have been done. Opposition never spoke, because why would opposition speak? They never spoke. They chose not to speak. It's not that they could have spoken, but they chose not to speak on this issue.
Yes, sir, thank you, Satish. I asked G.V.S. Murthy Garu. He is a senior journalist from Hyderabad.
Namaste, madam.
Namaste.
Apart from raising voice, lending voice, and all, at people's level, what best could be done
Now,
to integrate the people of Jammu Kashmir into the mainstream? What best the people can do?
no, I would simply say, no, this is the best thing. Whatever we have to do, it should be done when children are small.
Yes.
It is very important. If you
Wonderful.
start, Hannah, if you start telling them militancy, everything can be removed very easily. But if we give them right education, we give them, to think themselves. When the children are small, you start telling them, oh, this is India, these are not our people. What a child would learn.
Wonderful.
So this has to start from I would simply say nothing has gone with this also. No, we should be thankful to our central government. The new education policy has come. new. It's again we new inning we are going to start, right? So in that, if we are, I have worked in Canada also. So the best, what they that ownership. I always say it's mindset comes once you have that ownership. This is why can't people in some people one particular community think that India is your country. You are part of India. You are
Yes.
part of India. This is your country. That ownership, you feel that this is your country. It is very important. Until you don't feel, and that will come only when your child is small. And if you're telling your children right from start, this he is against this. This thing is not. This is not you. This is you are this. No, India. We all know that our culture is not that. It includes everyone. We believe in inclusiveness. It's
Okay.
not we have people, we have friends, right? Childhood friends, and they are well-placed positions. They are a lot from different community. We never felt, yeah, this is this community, this is this community. If people like me or other who we can think, then why can't our schools? We have to teach them correct things, correct time. Results would be wonderful.
How to reach, madam, those
No,
people, those children of those supposedly becoming militants from those families, how to bring them into the mainstream through education only? Okay, where to educate? Will they
Okay.
allow?
GVS Murthy Garu, last time on this 26th July, we had this Colonel Garu. He came and he gave a very good speech. So
Yes.
they even army they have their Sadbhavna.
Yes, yes.
That is one thing where interaction is very very important. Until
Okay.
unless, so in that case, I would simply say, as you have asked a very basic question, and which not only basic, that is the most important question. What has happened, finish, over. But now onwards, what should we do? What should be the first step? Our first step, as you're correctly saying, I would say whether it is the administration of UT or if the central government is really serious, we should start, sending people from different, teachers or really the people of caliber, journalists or teachers or cultural, artists from rest of the states to JNK as a teaching program. It should become compulsory for government as well as private schools, that there will be people from different states coming and tell them it's about cultural exchange. Cultural exchange is very important. We respect being Indian. We are mixed of so many cultures. And now I am from Jammu and Kashmir. I respect Telugu culture like anything. And you will not believe I am celebrating my festivals as well as of Andhra festivals. If I'm on 13th, if I'm 13th January, if I'm celebrating Lodi, which is a very prominent festival of Momo, 14th I'm celebrating Sankranti. I have not come from different part of the different planet. I'm also Indian. This because I'm just why I'm giving my example. If you raise child like that, they will become it. So cultural exchange program is very very important. When people start appreciating cultures, the same way the students from they are coming, I know, but to a very small number, this and it should become part of the curriculum. Yes, you will be given, if you are going to the different area, how many states you have visited, this is how you will get these grace marks. So until that incentive, every student want that incentive. So this should become a 100% part of the curriculum. That you are supposed to visit this number of, and it is not that difficult. It can be done. Now, the last time we were saying that nobody would like to go. Yes, but at least some. I remember after the abrogation, the team of 15 people from Vijayawada, from Andhra, they went to Kashmir.
Wonderful.
You must be knowing.
No, madam, I have not yet. I'm yet to know.
Okay, so they went and just visited all the temples in Kashmir. So, okay, they were adults, but the
That
same
is
way.
pilgrimage, madam. That
Not
is pilgrimage.
pilgrimage.
Exchange of students, interaction with students, and this cultural interaction will happen at a young age.
Yes.
But very child age, we have to meet the children of those areas.
Yes.
So for that, any platform is there, a private platform, apart from the government. Of course, with the support of the government. If
See,
there is
private platform, I will tell you, people will not send their children.
Okay.
This is what I would feel.
Of course,
because
with the support of the government, initiative has to be from the people, I mean.
Yes.
Thank you, J. Murthy Garu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is Ravi Chandrika Please switch on video camera, sir. Ravichandrika. Hello.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Please go ahead, madam.
Actually, my question may be a little bit deviated from the actual subject. I wanted to ask her about the people who left Jammu Kashmir during 80s and early 90s, and now they want to come back. And what about their properties? Are they safe? And what about their women and their rights?
Okay. Ravi Chandrika Garu, a very good question. It's not debated. It is to the point only, not an issue. But their properties are there, but they have been, some became army camps, kind of. Some had been, they have been destructed. Some have been gone into very bad shape. So all those stuff, but land and everything, because people had their piece of, their documents and their piece of land is there. It's only the government is also planning to bring them back. So when I talk to my other people, my other friends or other common people, those who have property in Kashmir, so whether they want to go back or not. So always people think that let us wait and see. So people just want to make sure that everything is safe, because they don't want to get into the position where they go back and their family members are again killed. They don't want to get into that position. So until and unless people are ready, if the state provide them, because they're now for construction of a house which has been totally broken, they need money also, and government will be supporting to some extent. But it is not a sudden process. Okay, 15th August, all people will move. This will never happen. Second thing is their second generation, third generation. All those children are settled. They are settled in other parts of the country, other parts of the world. So whether they would be ready or not, we don't know. It is a practical problem. It's a very practical problem. Third thing is this: at least people are happy that something is there. They can look forward. Yes, I can think of going back to my state, my place. That is very important. So people, second generation, even if all the congenial atmosphere is created, I am sure people will come back. Maybe slowly. Process would be very slow. As I'm telling you earlier also, it is not that one date and people will move back. That would never happen. It will happen slowly, 1, 2, but people want, yes, some support from the government and a congenial, safe atmosphere where they feel absolutely safe, because they have already gone through a very, very, very fearful time, where when they had to leave their places, their everything, and leave the place. So they would not like to get back into the same kind of thing. And especially your roots can be with your village, but not your children. They will not be that much close. So if everything is okay, this generation who left, they would like to go back and spend the rest of their life there. We all love our roots. We all love our roots, isn't it? So it's not. It depends on the government's thing and the people. If government is able to provide them, financially something, and then congenial atmosphere. Yes, please go ahead. I'm not. You are not audible. Can't listen you.
Hello.
We cannot listen, Chandrika Garu.
Yes, it is audible.
I'm not able to listen her.
Madam,
I can't hear her.
unable to hear?
No, I'm not able to hear Chandrika Garu.
No, it is audible, madam. Just 1 minute.
She has to unmute from her side something.
Yes.
Yes,
Now.
now
Yeah.
yeah.
It is unmuted. And one more thing, are there really people in the camps yet, like who wants to come back? I mean, all the people who left Jammu and Kashmir during the last 1.5 decades or 2 decades, there are a lot of people living in the camps still. And what about them? Like what I mean, what do you suggest to the government about them particularly? Forget about the people who have settled, who have gone abroad and other things. And what about these people who are still like refugees in some other state living in camps? Right.
Oh yes, they are there. But again, I will come back to the same thing that there's like those who came and started living in the camps, their children have gone out of those camps and settled somewhere else. So these people had been given. When or wherever the Kashmiri people they moved, all the governments they started giving some quota in the employment. You know all that very well. So now this first generation, which is still in the camps and they have not moved. So I know, personally, I know that many people, those who are there, most of them, they have moved, and some, those who are living, if the government provides them, accommodation and at least, financial help to build their, rebuild their houses. So those who are in the camps, they would definitely go. But again, the two conditions.
It is the same with other people who want to come to Jammu. They want a congenial atmosphere.
Yes.
I mean, if they want to do some business or start some type of this thing.
Yes, and practically again the problem is same, whether the second generation comes back or not. This is a practical thing.
No, but everybody they want to come home ultimately.
Yes.
They need a home which they can claim.
Yes, you are absolutely right. If again if something is some support is provided by government and they get the construction of the houses done, they would come back slowly. That thing is sure.
And and are you hoping that it would happen in the near future? Like, what are your feelings about that? About changing the change of the atmosphere, congenial atmosphere? And is it possible that we'll be seeing it in 1 decade at least?
I think yes. And before that, I would like to say one thing. Now, within 1 year, there are many changes. Although different people are calling it human rights violation, this and that. That's a different thing. But yes, many small groups of militancy, or you can say militant leaders, they have been taken care of. So slowly, when a time will come when there won't be, their militancy will not be at that, it will not be that effective. So then only people will feel confident to think of going. Before that, so you are right. I mean, maybe another 1 decade or less than that, when some better, within 1 year we have seen very good progress, and let us say another 5 years, if something good is there and small initiatives are taken to bring people, 1 family comes, 2 families, 10 families come, slowly, it will build up slowly. So I would say 5 years, let us say down the road 5 to 6 years, hopefully. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Chaudhary garu. Next is Dr. Ashok garu. Dr. Kudumala Ashok Ravari. Hello.
Good evening. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon,
Madam, he is Dr. Kudumala Ashok Ravari. He is secretary for the Pregna Prava, Andhra Pradesh.
Secretary?
He is secretary with the Pregna Prava, Andhra Pradesh. From
Okay, namaste.
Namaste, madam.
Okay, sir.
Regarding inculcate of the Jammu Kashmir culture, there is the discussion with some of our respected journalists. The things has come. If any NGO is there, yes, NGO is there in Kashmir. That is Jammu Kashmir Study Center. Jammu Kashmir Study Center. It is inculcating and the culture, ancient culture of India. Another thing is, still some of the journalists, I think in one debate of Republic TV,
your voice is
Qadri,
your voice is
Republic
breaking.
TV.
Voice is breaking.
Now are you audible? Now are you audible, madam?
Little bit. Yes, please speak. Some break is coming.
Hello.
Kishore,
Hello.
Ashok, there is a break in your voice.
Break in your voice.
And now,
Yeah,
Ah,
please
it's okay,
speak.
please.
Speak.
is it audible?
Yes,
Yes.
little bit better.
So even still, after the removal of 370 article, all those things, so recent renovations are going on. One of the journalists in a debate of Republic TV, Babar Kadri, was spoken some of the recently in Jammu and Kashmir two citizens has been died with one child is wandering around them. I'm unable to recollect. Recently one counter is held.
Yes.
Regarding that, there is a debate in Republic TV. Babar Kadri, a journalist, famous journalist, may speak about the Jammu and Kashmir because all these things are happening and we are supporting to these things to regain their Jameen. But Sanjay Goswami has given a terrific answer to them. No Jameens at present. Only the motherlands are there. Like that, Sanjay Goswami. So these people has to change their mindset first. Then it is easy to make the Jammu and Kashmir as the part of our India. Because actually I was born after in 1959. I am most worried about this 370 article, whether in my life I may see or not. But unfortunately, I have listened the removal of 370 article. And also so many things just like told by you earlier, within 1 year, all people, all generation of Jammu and Kashmir will believe that JK is the part of India. Okay, it's all right. It's my view regarding the Jammu and Kashmir.
Dr. Shubham.
Further, our organization, Pragna Pravah, is a forum of national thinkers, all India organization. It is also running in Jammu and Kashmir. Regarding the somebody asked to somebody, you told somebody has gone to all temples, isn't it? In Jammu and Kashmir. In that team also our Karyakarta is there. He is Giridhar Mohamedi. He is the secretary for Pragna Pravah in Telangana area. He also one of the member of the team. He went to all the temples, collected and also conducted a webinar. These things may help because what happened in Ram Janmabhoomi in 1990s, you don't know the present generation. But it was by 5th of this month. It may going to be take place, and we felt more happy. This generation will know it. Some mandir as there, some hesitation is held, and it is built in India like that. So we don't know about the Somanath temple. Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad, President of India, has went and Somanath. The same thing will happen. So we hope the Jammu and Kashmir, because what I am telling this, the mindset of Babar Kadri, like that people, has to be changed. Other Jameens are where? Who's Jameen, the Jammu and Kashmir?
The voice is breaking much more, Ashok Garu.
Okay. Jameen means Jammu and Kashmir is the Jameen of whom? He's a renowned journalist. He openly argued, but he left the debate also. Kashmiri Pandit is also there in that debate. He has questioned, he has answered to him thoroughly. He left that debate. So this kind of people will doing much harm to the nation since from the independence.
You're absolutely right, Dr. Shogaru. Absolutely. This is the mindset which is, this is TVS Murthy Garu from Hyderabad. I think she asked how we can change it. No, whatever has happened, no, we have to change this mindset from the, from the children's mind, right from the childhood. This is one of the main thing, and they should be taught, your mother, about motherland. I'm very happy to say that, okay, whatever, very openly I'm saying this thing, whatever Kashmiri people, what one particular community in Kashmir or is getting is far more than the, what rest of the country in the urban area is getting. Isn't it? They are getting all the, uh, economy package was never a problem for the state of J&K earlier. So the central government really used to take a lot of care right from start. They used to take care, extra budgets and everything. But it's only, I mean, when you are given so much, then you stop, appreciating that. So people in our state, J&K, UT is very, God's grace. It's a very well, it's a good place. It's a very good place economy wise. There's so much of scope. But the only thing is, you just see to different states of the country, so much of poverty. And one place where the central governments are taking so much of care, where their people are against. Who is giving you? You are against that person. Isn't it? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, audible, madam, please.
So as Dr. Ashok was saying, definitely the mindset has to be changed, and it has to be, I'm I should say I'm not very happy to tell you this thing. Many people, when they meet me, they tell me that when we go to Kashmir and people say, oh, you have come from India. So that mindset, even now, when people go for tourism, oh, you have come from India. But it's only some people, they have created this kind of atmosphere. It's not that the whole community, and as I'm saying, it's not the whole community. It's always a few people, those who talk about, those who raise such issues. In our state, we have been seeing that, okay, it's not Hindu, Muslim. In our state, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh is a big community, even very small number, but yes, Christians also. We live in harmony. I'm telling you this thing very openly. We live in harmony. It's not like that, okay, but some people, some groups, they have just, created an atmosphere where they want to show, yes, this is against us, this is against that. So that mindset is only of few people, and they only create the divisions, they only create the problems. So this can only be changed with the education system, with the children. What we tell children at the start.
Hello.
Yes, please, Dr. Shogaru, is it okay?
Okay, thank you, madam.
Okay, I think
Okay,
Dr.
the last one is Mr. P.S. Reddy Garu, please. The last one.
Okay, good morning, madam. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, are you listening?
Yes, you are audible, Mr. Reddy.
Okay, madam. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry to say, I came very, very late and I joined here.
It's okay.
I'm very much interested in the Jammu Kashmir issues and the 35 Act and 370 Act removing. All these, being a social studies teacher in Guntur.
Okay.
I would like to know many things like you, many people available to us through this think. Okay,
Yes.
I want to ask one question, ma'am.
Yes, please.
That is, what is the difference between the Jammu Kashmir educational institutions system and the remaining other states? Example, Andhra Pradesh education system.
Okay.
What was the difference between the 35 Act before and after education system?
Okay, Mr. D. As far as CBSE is concerned, it's all same.
Okay, madam.
CBSE is absolutely same, no change. State board, yes, little bit different. The state board, every state board is different. So now with the new education policy, definitely they'll be inculcating that. So it is the same system, but I would say one thing, since you belong to Guntur, remember last year, Murthy Garu would agree with me, they had organized a competition in some college. right, Murthy Garu?
Yes,
So,
yes.
yes, in that,
And
you know,
one point I would like to add in this one regarding the education policy of the states. Actually, central government is having any restrictions over the state to design their national education policies. But basically, they will give a huge spectrum of some policies under which the state government has to design their own education policy. It is not restricted to any state. What I think.
But they can, I mean, overall the overall line is same. Like
Yes.
overall, it would be same. It's only states can do little bit of difference. As
Yes,
far as this
exactly.
new education policy is also concerned, this which is very good. States can only make little bit of difference.
Of course.
It's not that they will not be. As Mr. Reddy's question, CBSE remains the same. Everything is same. Education system is more of same. I would say that it's very similar. It's only a little bit changes because of the state and all those things. But in our most of the, we all know that the history, whatever history has been taught, it's same. Earlier it was same. So the same repetitive who did that. With the new education policy, we all wanted that history should be changed. But there's nothing that, okay, in history we are in JNK, it's not like that. In history, we are telling about what in fact, in state of JNK, the more history should be taught about Raja Hari Singh and all that, which was not. It should have been taught, which was not. Which was never taught. But yes, definitely last year when they organized on the accession of JNK, Murthy Garu organized a very good competition in Guntur. I don't know whether you came or not on that day. The children, because they read the topic and they spoke so well, they knew so many things about the topic. So this kind of things will understand children to know about the JNK. What is the culture and what were the issues, because JNK had remained a big big part of for us, for students to know the history about it. So last time when they organized this thing, children were very well versed, and that quiz competition went very well. So that is something which has to be not only in Andhra is doing very well. I must say that Andhra is doing very well that way. But other parts of the country or other wherever the Think or JKSC, these kind of centers are there, they should organize these kind of competitions. So children will learn a lot out of it. But as far as your question is concerned, little bit difference, and rest CBSE and other ICSE, all these boards are same because they have the same setup. State boards are a little bit different. But I'm glad you asked this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nehru Mishra ji. And very much grateful to you for your enriched knowledge and experience regarding the Jammu Kashmir. Especially, you have worked much more on women's human rights and 35LA. We are very much thankful to the participants who has made this program very enlightening one. Thank you once again. Thank you all. Thank you very much. We'll end up this session. Thank you.
Thank you.